Hello, I'm Brad Phillips and welcome to Puppy Steps Training. So for this demonstration, I've got Cal behind me in the crate. Super excited to send him out to you. I think that you guys are really going to enjoy him. So with this video, we are going to be going over his manners, the obedience commands, and the leash work. So the other video, the demonstration introduction, goes over our 3 keys to success, as well as the crate training and potty training expectations. So as I always mention, just make sure that you watch that first before you watch this, as we will be incorporating those 3 keys into this demonstration. You're going to see how I follow through, how I manage Cal, as well as just how we are consistent with these expectations. So before we dive in, a couple things that I just want to touch on. So Cal he's kind of a funny little dog. He thinks he's a tough guy. He likes to try and tell all the other puppies that he's in charge. Most of them don't pay him any mind, and he doesn't really get his way, but he definitely wants to be in charge. He's pretty vocal. He likes to tell you what he thinks. He'll bark at me if I'm too fast, if I'm too slow, or if I'm just not doing what he wants. So be prepared for that. We don't let him get reactive, so we are going to talk about what to do when he does start barking kind of crazy. We'll discuss that with our leash work, but he just doesn't get to boss me around. He is really funny. Like I said, he likes to be the boss, but then if I'm too fast, he doesn't like that. Like if I try and reach down and pick him up, he'll bark at me. He's like, nuh-uh, I don't like that. So he's got a lot of personality. He's just kind of a funny little guy. So I'm sure you're going to see that during this demonstration. First things first, we're going to dive into his manners. So we have, our set of expectations that we want to focus on first off. So during the next 3 days, this section is what I want you to focus on. Obviously, you're going to crate train him. You're going to continue with the potty training. But as far as commands and the leash work goes, those will transition over as you develop more and more of a relationship with Cal. So for the next couple days, we want to focus on building that relationship with him, and we want to make sure that he's being well-mannered. So we need to be consistent with these expectations. So the first manner that we're going to talk about is Cal's gates and doorways. So anytime Cal comes through a closed door or gate, or he comes out of the crate, I expect him to hold an automatic stay. I don't care whether he's sitting or standing or laying down, he just needs to show that he's in control. So we do this with any closed door, primarily our exterior doors, as well as coming through the crate, coming through our kennel doors in the back. Just any closed door, I expect him to hold an automatic stay. So I don't have to tell him to stay or anything like that. I just expect him to have some control and wait to be released. So with your home, you can create this expectation with any threshold as long as you're consistent with it. Bare minimum, keep this expectation with the crate and with any exterior doors. Those are times where I can imagine that Cal's going to have the biggest charge, and he's going to be excited to get out. So we want to make sure that he can control those impulses and that he can be calm and in control. So if as I'm letting Cal out, even if he just sticks one paw out of the crate, I'm going to close that door and tell him no. I'm not going to tell him to stay unless he was really persistent on pushing his way out. Now, if he managed to break out, then I'm going to tell him no, go and get him and have him do it again. So he never gets to end on failure. I'm never going to say, whatever, I'm not going to worry about you right now. Because in that moment, he says, I got him. If I'm fast enough, if I'm sneaky enough, I don't have to listen. So same thing with going outside. If he runs past me, I'm going to go and get him and have him do it again. For the next few days, though, even upwards of a week, you're going to have a leash on him anytime that you do go outside, even if that's into the backyard, and we have a way to control him. So if he tried to run out, I could simply pop that leash, tell him no, or I could use my leg and block him. So now I'm going to let Cal out of the crate, and I'm going to put that leash on him. I am going to have him ring the bells, so you can see him ring the bells off the door, and then we'll go outside, give him a chance to go to the bathroom. So you're going to see expectations of coming out of the crate, as well as coming in and out of an exterior door, as well as you get to see him ring the bells. So like I said, I don't care what position he's in, he just has to show that he's in control. Okay, good boy. So I'm going to hook this leash on him and take him over to the bell. So this is what you would do, 30-minute timer goes up, I'm going to walk him over, wait for him to touch the bells. And if he's going to stare at the treat pouch, okay, outside, good boy. And I'm going to have him do it one more time here. Okay, outside, good boy. And now I'm going to take him out. So like I said, I don't care what position he's in, as long as he's showing that he is calm and in control. Okay, good boy. Same expectation for coming inside. He doesn't need to be sitting. He just needs to show that he's calm and in control. Okay, good boy. And okay releases him through. So once again, if he were to break through, I would just simply tell him no and have him do it again. So we always end on success. So that's our doorways. Now we're going to talk about our greeting. And why we talk about our greeting, we're also going to discuss jumping as well as gently. So those are all kind of mixed in here. So first and foremost, my expectation when Cal wants my attention, he needs to sit to get it. So this is what he's doing. Good boy. And over the next few days, well, over the next couple weeks, do not ignore this behavior. If he comes over and sits in front of you, make sure that you tell him he's a good boy and you pet him. We have already started to kind of wean off some treats here, but you need to be very consistent for the next couple weeks in treating this behavior so that it sticks. This greeting is a replacement behavior for jumping. So if I want Cal to come over to me, if I say his name, I want him to come and sit in front of me. So if I said, Cal, I'm going to wait for him. Oh, good boy. Wait for him to sit. So one of the first things that you are going to do with Cal is going to be this exercise that I'm going to show you. And this is just our greeting or sit to greet exercise. So you're going to take your treat bag, you're going to put some treats in it, take the leash, and we're just going to call his name, take a few steps back. Once he sits, reward him. And we're going to repeat that. So I'm going to do it 3 times here. So what it looks like is I'm just going to say, Cal, take a few steps back. He sits. Okay. Good boy. Cal. Okay, good boy. Cal. Notice if he tries to walk past you, good boy. Okay. If he tries to walk past you, if he's not paying attention, you can use that leash. And if he stops and he doesn't sit, I can just simply take a step into him. Okay, good boy. So everybody in your family that's going to have regular interactions with Cal needs to do this exercise. So this helps him understand my expectations that when he comes over and he wants my attention, he needs to sit to get it, and he doesn't need to be jumping or pawing. It also helps him engage with me, so we're starting to build this relationship, and I'm teaching him that it's a good thing to look up at me, to make eye contact, and that I'm going to pay him for being a good boy. So everybody needs to practice this exercise. The people that don't have regular interactions, we don't need to do this. But everybody in your family is going to do this exercise, 3 or 4 times each day for the next 3 or 4 days. With little kids, I would have, Michelle, I would have you hold the leash and they can say his name and you can walk Cal up. If he tries to jump, I'm going to tell him no, and I will get a little bit of distance. So distance is going to be your best friend anytime we're dealing with distractions, new people, new dogs, anything like that. So that distance might only be 10 feet, but then I'll regain Cal's focus, have him sit for me, and then we can walk up and try it again. He doesn't get a jump up, he doesn't get a mouth. And kids are obviously like the biggest distraction. Cal loves kids, and so we need to make sure that he's being very polite for them. So you'll also may have noticed, I believe it was the first one that I did when I said Cal, and I had him sit. When I went to give him the treat, he reared up. Okay, he doesn't get to meet me halfway. If those paws come off the ground, I pull that treat away, and I can either tell him no, or I can also just tell him gently, because I want him to be soft when he takes the treat, and I want all 4 paws on the ground. If he's lunging up to get it, I don't imagine he's going to be that soft, so that's why I can use gently there. And I expect him to have a very soft mouth. I don't want to feel teeth, which sometimes Cal gets a little too excited, and I feel his teeth scrape against my skin. And so if he does that, I tell him gently, and I expect him to be softer. Part of that also is when I give him a treat, I put it in the palm of my hand, and I cover it with my thumb. So that way, I can kind of push his jaw up if I feel like he's being too mouthy. If I can feel his teeth, I can just say no gently and kind of pop his jaw up. And then I'm in control of when he gets that treat. So it's just gently. Good. Okay. In general, I never give him a treat between my thumb and forefinger. That's how kids want to give puppies treats, and then they are sad when they nip their fingers. But that is an easy way for him to grab your thumb and pointer finger. But we have been practicing this, so I can tell him gently and expect him to be very soft. Oh, good boy. Okay, good boy. Okay, but he doesn't get a jump. He doesn't get to bite me. So need to make sure that he's in control. When I'm meeting new people, so one, inside your home, you can do, just like I said with the kids, where you have a hold of the leash, you can walk him up, Cal sits, and then I can invite our guests over to meet him, but I don't want him off leash and I don't want him running and jumping on people for the first little bit. If he seems too excited with new people, you can start with him in the crate. When you're outside, you're out on a walk, you're gonna have people say, oh my gosh, he's so cute, can I pet him, can I say hi? To which I say, at least 95% of the time, I say no. The polite way to say it is, no, he's in training, and then you step to the side of the trail or the sidewalk, you have him sit, you tell him he's a good boy, and you engage with him while they leave. Okay, so at least 95% of the time. If you don't, if you let him meet every new person that asks, Cal's gonna say, oh, walks are to meet people. So then he's gonna get reactive, he's gonna pull, he's gonna bark at every new person because he thinks he needs to see him. I want him to understand that walks are not a time for him to greet other people. And when people walk their dog up and say, can they say hi? You say absolutely not, and you get away from them. We're never gonna allow on-leash greetings here. 5% of the time, you can say yes. My rule of thumb is that's gonna happen when I know people. So it's like, oh, we might stop and say hi and talk for a minute. Then they can say hi to Cal. Or because I have little kids, I'm kind of a sucker that way, so little kids can say hi to my puppy. But either way, if I'm going to allow it, I'm gonna say, yes, his name's Cal, but he needs to be under control. So if you guys can wait there, I will have him approach you. And so then I can walk him up, we'll stop about 5 feet short, have him do this greeting for me, and then allow them to approach. If he gets out of control, if he jumps, then I'm gonna take him away and reset. So I would just move him away, reset into a sit, and then approach and try it again. Which I apologize, but I have a package getting dropped off, so we're gonna have to interrupt this video really quickly. Apologize for the interruption, but just to reiterate, I can approach, have him sit, have them approach, and say hi. So the reason I do that is because when I'm approaching a new person, I don't want him thinking he should pull to get there. And sometimes when we hit that last 5 or 6 feet, the dog pulls to them and we let him get away with it. Because we're already there and we don't want to cause a scene. It's hard to correct our dog in front of people we know or even people we don't know. But we have to. Cal can't think that new people he gets away with jumping or pulling or any of that. So if he pulls, I'm going to correct him, tell him no, have him be in control, and then allow people to say hi. If he jumps, I'm going to tell him no, I'm going to get distance. Like I said, even if that's just 10 feet, I say we're going to check in, which is just him sitting, good boy, and then we can try again. Good Cal. And if he does it again, I might just say, oh, sorry, he's not in control, we can't say hi at this time. Okay. What's more important than strangers is your relationship with your dog. And if he knows that with new people or people out on the street, he can be ill-mannered, he's going to get worse with that. So that's why I say just 95% of the time, just say no to people, move to the side and focus on engaging, which I'm going to go into detail with the leash work, but that's just getting him to focus on you and be under control. So that's our greeting. We've covered part of jumping. So if he jumps up on something that he's not supposed to, so whether it's like the couch or up on the countertop or anything like that, I'm going to tell him off and I expect him to get down. A lot of times I'll accompany that command with like a clap, just something to drive that point home. Now let's say that I'm down here petting him and that's when he wants to jump. This also counts for kids because they're closer, you're more eye level, close with his face. I can be down here and petting him. He likes to be pet. Oh, yeah, you're a good boy. Which is great, but if he sticks a paw up here, if I let him get away with that, then next thing I know, there's 2 paws and then he's in my face. So he doesn't get to even put paws up on me. We can love on him, we can pet him, but if he tried to jump up on me, I'm going to tell him no, off, and I'm going to slide him away. Which he knows better. So I would tell him no, off. I would slide him away, and then I'm going to take my hands away and ask for that check-in. So he shows that he's under control. Oh, good boy. I can go back to petting him. Yeah, good boy. If he tried it again, I would say no, off, and I would stand up. So it's very important that you take your hands away, because our hands give him everything good. They give him pets. Oh, good boy. They give him treats. And so your hands are a very positive thing. And so by removing my hands, I show him I don't like that. So this also goes with if he tried to mouth on me, if he tried to put his mouth on my fingers, on my shirt. If I was wearing my hoodie, sometimes I try and put my drawstrings right in their face, or my watch. Just try and almost encourage some mouthing so that I can correct it. So if he put teeth on me, I'm going to tell him no, and I'll close his muzzle. So I'm not clamping down, I'm not being mean, but it's just a no, and then I take my hands away. He shows he's under control. Oh, good boy. We can go back to petting. But he does it again, I stand up. So he doesn't get away with mouthing on me, jumping on me, any of that. So that's greeting, mouthing, jumping gently. So handling, just continuing on with this, Cal doesn't love being handled, so we spent a lot of time helping him feel more secure with it. So we brush him every day. Good boy. So he's gotten to where he tolerates it, but I would definitely wouldn't say that it's his favorite thing. And we spent a lot of time, we trim around his eyes, we've clipped his nails, we've handled his paws, his muzzle. Oh, good boy. So he doesn't get to pull away from me. You can see that he clearly doesn't love his muzzle being brushed. Now, so I'm going to stop doing that. I don't want him to necessarily be uncomfortable, but he also needs to understand that he can't throw a temper tantrum to get away. So I'm not going to let him go. So in this case, I'm going to change directions, change the way I'm holding him, and try and help him feel more comfortable. So once again, I don't want to be mean and be like, no, you're just going to deal with it. But at the same time, he can't think, oh, if I throw a temper tantrum, they don't have to brush me, or I can get away. Oh, good boy. So continue to handle him. Help him feel comfortable, because he's going to need to be groomed. He's going to have to go to the vet. All these things we need to practice so that he can be comfortable and confident in those situations. Oh, good boy. Which he's done a lot better, but he hasn't always loved it. But we spend a lot of time handling him. And that's also with toys, with bully sticks, just anything that could be high value. I want to make sure that he's comfortable with me handling him as well as his things, and he's not going to get aggressive or resource guard. It's like I said, sometimes he thinks he's a tough guy. Usually he'll try and tell the other puppies that they're not allowed to take stuff, and then he can't really defend it anyway. So, but he loves his rug, which is where he brought this. We're going to have to, oh, did we tear it open? Okay. So when I play with him, this is when I like to work on the drop it command. So Cal, I'm going to keep him right here. Cal, drop it. So I asked for it. Good. He saw that I was about to follow through and he let go of it. So that's why I marked that with a good. He wants to go over to his rug. Here, what about if I put down the bed? Cal, okay. Oh, punk. So when I work on the drop it command, I just incorporate myself into his play. Oh, yeah, good boy. And then I'll just periodically ask for him to let go of it. So my expectation is that he's going to just spit it out. So Cal, drop it. So here, no. Good. So now where he's failed twice, I'm going to kind of give it back to him, but I'm going to keep a hold of it. And so I'm going to tell him, Cal, drop it. Good boy, okay. And then I can give it back to him. But I'm going to keep standing on the leash, stay right here. Cal, drop it. Good boy. Because my expectation is that he's going to spit it out and he will let me take that. He doesn't get to reach back for it. He doesn't get to yank it out of my hands. And he definitely doesn't get to ignore me. But you can see how there, Twice he tried to take it to where he wanted to chew on it and ignore me, and I had to follow through. So if I let him get away, okay, take it. If I let him get away with running off with this toy, he's gonna ignore me every time with that drop it. So even though he kind of tested a boundary there, I follow through, help him understand the expectations. Cal, drop it. No. So here, if he doesn't let go, I'm gonna curl his lips around his canines. You being kind of a punk today? Sit. So I'm gonna ask for a little check-in here, where he's being, there you go, okay, being a little bit of a punk. So we'll let him have it for a second, we'll practice it again. Cal, drop it. Good. So I will, notice I will give him a second to process, because sometimes, especially with these big fluffy toys, it takes him a second to get it out of his mouth. But once I can tell that he's ignoring me and he's continuing to chew on it, then that processing time is gone and I need to correct him. Okay, so we're gonna do it one more time here. Let him chew on it for a second. Cal, drop it. Good boy, good boy. Okay, and then I'm gonna give it back to him. So notice I'm not giving him any treats. He just gets the toy back. So I never mix the toy and treats. Cal, drop it. Good boy. So this one, I'm gonna take it away. And this is when I could give him a treat to replace, but instead I'm gonna show you, he's gonna get a bully stick now. And I wanna ask him to drop that a couple times. Bully stick's a little bit higher value, but also it's easier to spit out, so. Cal, drop it. Good boy. Notice he lets me take it. I say good, and then okay, he gets it back. You really want the end that's in my hand, punk. So he gets it back, let him chew on it for a second. This one I'm gonna have him drop it again, and I am gonna give him a treat because I'm gonna take the bully stick away now. And I'll make this point now, a lot of your training sessions now when you get him home, obviously you're gonna do everything to really build a rapport with him, but as he gets comfortable, you get him into your house, a lot of our training sessions will be, oh, you're kind of pushing some boundaries with this behavior. I'm gonna spend the next 5 minutes working on this and really help him understand that he can't push that boundary and he's not gonna get away with ignoring you. Cal, drop it. Good boy. So I'm gonna replace that. And once again, if he ignored me, if he kept chewing on it, I'm gonna curl his lips around his canines and take it away. Notice he was being a little bit more of a punk today with that. We worked on it for a second, then he's doing great. So if he picks something up that he's not supposed to have, maybe a shoe or a kid's stuffed animal, I can ask for that drop it and then give him something to chew on. So I mark the incorrect behavior with no, ask him to spit it out, give him something that he can be successful with. I don't want to get frantic. I don't want to chase him and be like, no, drop it, right? Because then I'm letting him know the value, and in his mind, he's gonna go, oh, this is scary, I should run away with it. So I want to be kind of nonchalant, ask for a drop it, give him something to chew on instead. Because the other thing to note is that Cal is right in the heat of teething. So he's got a lot of teeth left to lose. So he needs things to chew on. And if we don't give him things to chew on, he's going to go find something, and we never like what he finds. It's also important that we allow him to kind of choose what texture he needs. So if he starts chewing on something soft, I want to make sure that I give him something soft. So he needs different things just depending on what his mouth needs, whether that's a bully stick, a toy, a rope, just something to chew on. So pay attention to textures. Also just give him adequate things to chew on, but don't just leave all of his stuff out, because then he's going to get bored with it and go find something else to chew on. So, okay. Mealtime manners. Anytime I feed Cal, I expect him to hold an automatic sit-stay. So notice I grabbed that bowl and he came and sat. If he didn't, I would just shake that bowl above his nose and set it down. So there, that's a break. Notice that food bowl just came back up and he sat back down. So I don't have to make a big deal out of it, but if he sits up or if he stands up, food bowl goes away. I expect him to do an automatic stay. I shouldn't have to tell him to stay. Okay, good boy. Okay, releases him, but he's waiting patiently. And I want to make sure that there's no type of food aggression, that he's not going to get antsy with me. I don't make a habit of taking his food bowl away, because that would drive me nuts if somebody came and took my food. But periodically, you know, I will, so that we can work on his stay. But 99% of the time I'm not. So just to show you again, I shake that bowl, he sits down, no. So there, he tried to pop back up again. Notice I said no, lifted that food bowl. Now he's back to sitting nicely. Kind of pushing some boundaries today, huh, Cal? Okay, good boy. But this is just part of it. No puppy is perfect. There's going to be times they push boundaries. There's going to be times they see what they can get away with. And it's just important that we are consistent and we follow through. But these are what you're going to focus on for the first 3 days. These are those specific manners. So the greeting, making sure he's not jumping, he's not mouthing, he's not chewing. We're giving him appropriate things to chew on. He's waiting at doorways, waiting for his food. All of these things are going to help him understand that you have the same expectations we do in your home. But now we're going to dive into our obedience commands. And you can still do these commands over the next 3 days. Just understand that he's going to be under some stress. And so I don't want to push him to a point where he's failing and getting frustrated. So practice them, but maybe lower those expectations. So the first one I'm going to show you is his place command. So I'm just going to say, which I think he heard place and he went over there anyway. Cal, come here. I'm going to guide him off just so I can show you. So when I ask for a place, I'm just going to say place. I will point, and then I give him a treat when all 4 paws are on. So my expectation is that I send him to place, and it should be an automatic stay. Now, we've been working on this command to where it can be universal, so we've practiced it with a lot of different places, if you will. But the big thing is having a defined boundary. So that's why these beds are so easy to teach it, because it's a very distinct boundary. So as he stays there, I'm going to continually reinforce this behavior. So the longer he's there, the more treats he's going to get. Good boy. And when I release him, he does not get a treat for coming off. So, okay, Cal, good boy. I don't know if you actually heard me. Cal, okay, good boy. So I'm going to guide him off. No treat for coming off. And he's going to go back because he wants more treats. Come here, bud. So Cal will do this all the time where he will just offer behaviors as well, just because he wants a treat. And we spend a lot of time helping him listen and not guess. Cal, place. So I love the place command. This is my favorite command. I think it's super useful. So some everyday use, wow, that was terrible English. But some ways that we use this every day in our home would be, say you're doing the dishes. And it's like, I just need you to stay in your place so that you're out from under my feet. Or maybe you're bringing in groceries. All of it takes practice, and we're going to continue reinforcing why he's there. One of my favorites is I've taught my dogs that when somebody comes to the door, so whether they knock or ring the doorbell, my dogs go to their place. That's their job if somebody's at the door. That way they're not barking and jumping up at people. That one takes a lot of practice. You got to build that up, but that's a great way that family members can help train. It's like, hey, go ring the doorbell, and I'm going to send Cal to his place. Understand the harder the distraction, the more I'm going to reinforce. So where it's just me and Cal in here, I'm not going to reinforce near as often. Whereas if my 4 kids were here and we were running around crazy, I might stay closer, and every time a loud noise goes off, I'll be like, oh, good boy, and I'll reinforce it. But we're always adding more and more variables to build solid commands. So notice one thing here, Cal is continually standing. I really like when they settle, so I always reinforce settling behavior. So if he sat down or laid down, I love that. I want this to be a, hey, you need to settle. Some of the harder distractions that we've added, so I'm going to leave the building here and knock. This is one of the harder ones. Good boy. So he stayed. I'll have to come over. Good boy. Give him a treat. Reinforce that. And we'll build up, the length of time I leave the room, and just different variables there. Okay, good boy. And when I release him, he doesn't get a treat. He just gets pet. This is the other classic Cal move with place. Is sometimes he's like, no. If I stay here, I get more treats. So he'll put himself in a place often, or he just won't come off until I go and pull him off, which I'm going to move the bed. So, okay, good boy. We're going to guide him off and move the bed. So very similar to that command is the crate command. Cal, come here. Crate. So I just point. He gets a treat when he goes in, but not when he comes out. Okay, Cal, good boy. Crate. Good boy. If he ever hesitates, I can tap on the top. Okay. His little head poking out is fine, but if he sticks a paw out, I'll correct him. Crate. Nope. So there's a guess. Good. And notice my correction isn't harsh. It's just a redirection. Okay, good boy. So I practice this command far more than I use it just to lock him up. If I only use the command when I'm going to lock him up, he's going to get to where he realizes that, and then he will avoid the crate. So I want to make sure that it stays a positive thing. Cal, I know, you love the bed. Crate, good. The first time that you introduce a new crate, okay, I would tell him crate and kind of stand here, help him read your body language, but you may have to stick your hand inside the crate to help him follow and go in. I don't want to throw treats in, but I will stick that hand with the treat in and have him follow it in so that I can give him the treat. Okay, so that would be considered a food lure where once again, I don't want to throw the food in there because I don't want to bribe him, but I will lure him. So that's place and crate. Now we're going to go over his sit, down, and stay. So sit is just a little scoop over the nose. It's this motion. Down, I'll take my hand flat, and it's off to the side. And then stay is a stop sign. So Cal, sit. Down. Stay. Notice that he takes a second to process. He's definitely one of my kind of slower processing dogs, which I'll give him that second or two. I just have to understand that. And then if he acts like he's ignoring me, I'll adjust my body language. Okay, good boy. Now we've been teaching him both a sit and a down stay, so he knows both. Now if I put him in a sit, Cal, sit, stay, and he immediately, lays down. I'm going to correct that and bring him back up. Stay. Because I don't want him thinking that stay means down. So we've spent a lot of time distinguishing that. But now we're about 10 seconds into this command. If he chose to lay down, I would be okay with that because he's just settling in. And a down stay is more of a solid positioning anyway. I just don't want him automatically going down when I say stay. Okay, good boy. Now, if I put him in a down stay and he pops up, I will immediately correct that and have him go back down. Cal, sit. Down. Stay. And same thing with these, we're going to always add new variables. So we have our 3Ds, so that's distance, duration, distraction. And we just want to make sure that he understands that what the stay means with every different type of setting or distraction or length of time. Okay, good boy. So now, let's say that we gave him some processing time on this down, and he just acted like he was confused, or maybe he started ignoring me and he's going to automatically go down. So if I did this and told him down and he hesitated or he was looking off, after a second, then I'll gradually get a little bit lower. But I always want to start up high, and then I can adjust my body language to help him succeed. Now with the stays, let's say that he broke once or twice. If he does that, I'm just going to tell him no, have him do it again. But if he breaks a third time, it's too hard. Whatever we're doing, whatever we're working on, whatever distraction is around, it's too hard. So instead of having him break another time and getting frustrated, or me getting frustrated, I would rather simplify it. So let's say that he broke twice at 15 seconds. Instead of pushing him to 15 seconds again on that third time, I might do an 8-second stay and release him just so that I can reward him. So that way we're always training to success. Good boy. And he doesn't get frustrated. Even if that means that I need to simplify a behavior, hey, to its simplest form, I will always help him succeed. All right, so now we're going to talk about our leave it command, which I'm going to pull out some high value treats, which in this case I'm going to use some cheese, and I am going to have him leave some treats on the ground. So I'm actually going to use the treats that are in my bag to make it a little bit more difficult. So I am also going to take a hold of his leash just in case he tries to run after him. So this is an example of management, where I'm going to be working on something that could be a little bit more challenging, but I'm going to help control the situation to make sure that he succeeds. So if I set these down and he like bolts towards them, when I say leave it, I may give him a pop on the leash. But I'm going to set those down, leave it. Good boy. So there you can see that he obviously knew they were there. I said leave it, he stopped. He clearly keeps looking back, but I will continue to reward him as he continues to leave them alone. But if he goes for them, I will pop the leash. Cal, leave it. Good boy, good boy. So, great exercise for impulse control. I practice with a lot of different things, but anytime I'm using food, like if you were even setting him up in the kitchen, I would get something high value so that he understands that by leaving something, something good is going to come in return, and usually something better than what he's leaving. Real life application though is if you did drop something in the kitchen you didn't want him to get, or a lot of times I use this command on walks where it's something gross, something dead, and I can tell him leave it, and then as we get past, I'm like, oh, good boy, good boy, good boy, and I'll reward him as we walk past it. Good dog. I only use leave it for things that I can either take Cal away from or I can take away from Cal. So I don't use like permanent fixtures in the house. That's more of a management. I don't use it for potted plants because he's just always around it. Where something like this I can pick up and it's not a constant temptation. The hardest part of using food is when I go to clean it up, because once again, my hands deliver all good things. He's taking treats from my hands. So once my hands are involved in what I'm asking him to leave it, that's when he really wants to check him out. So if he does that, I just tell him no and scoot him away. But if he does this, I love it. Okay, good boy, and I'll reward that. Okay, so that is our obedience command section. So now I'm going to adjust the camera and we are going to cover our leash work. So we're going to jump right into it with our heel. We'll talk about what to do if he starts to pull or if he gets reactive. We'll talk about engagement, and then we'll switch over to the long lead, which is my favorite way of exercising Cal, and mixed with the long lead, we'll talk about his recall. So let me switch this around and we'll go to that point. Heel. All right, so we're going to start with the heel. Good boy. The heel is for you. This is not how we exercise Cal. This is how we get from point A to point B. We get past distractions. We're in a store. Anything where I need his focus. Good boy. And I don't want him distracted by what's going on around us. So this, out of everything that we've taught Cal, will take the longest to transition over to the standard where we're at now. Good boy. And that's because it's 100% relationship based. If you want Cal to ignore everything around us, all the distractions, or if you're on a walk and there's another dog and you want him to ignore it, he needs to trust you. He's got to trust that you have his well-being in mind and you're going to take care of him. So that's why it takes some time. Hey, so we need to practice it a lot and focus on success. So this is 100% quality over quantity. I don't want to go for 5 minutes. I would much rather have a 30-second heel where we've got good focus and he's not pulling at all or not getting distracted at all versus a 10-minute heel around the block. So we do heel in short bursts. Literally 2 to 5 minutes is all we need because I'm using it anytime we encounter distractions where I just need to get past something. So primarily I have him on a long lead, but we practice the heel a lot. So my expectations are the way that this is supposed to go. So one, heel is the command. Wow, that was terrible, my brain. Anyway, with the heel, I expect him to be on my left side by my knee. So he's not ahead of me, he's not behind me, he's right here next to me. I want him keeping pretty good focus on me. He can look forward and see what's out in front of us, but most of the time he needs to be looking up at me. And I'm going to give him a lot of feedback. If I expect him to ignore distractions, I better be pretty distracting. So I'm telling him he's a good boy, I'm giving him treats while we're going, and I'm just marking this good behavior. When I stop, I expect him to stop, and I want this focus. I will repeat the command anytime that we're starting again or we're switching directions. So it's heel. So notice he's by my left side. Good boy, matching pace. So if I slow down, he slows down. Good boy. If I speed up and switch directions, he should follow. But see how he's keeping his focus on me. This is what I want. Obviously, we're inside, we're in a big room, but there's very limited distractions. And that's where I want you to start. So start inside your home, walking around the kitchen. Just go where there's no distractions. Or maybe that's outside in the backyard. But I start, no distractions, and I gradually implement more and more. So for the first few days, probably the first 2 or 3 days, I wouldn't ask him to heel at all. Focus on the relationship, and then as you get more comfortable with one another, then you can introduce this heel. And over the next few weeks, gradually introduce distractions. But don't immediately take him and go for a walk and expect him to heel past a barking dog. Like, that's not going to end well, because he's going to be stressed out, which is going to mean that he's going to be reactive and he's going to be nervous. And so putting him in a situation where he doesn't know whether you're going to protect him from what he could see as a threat is just going to damage this behavior more than it's going to help. So take it slow, because he's doing really, really well. He's always next to me. Even on our off-leash, he does an off-leash heel. He loves food. He loves to be with people. So he's very, very good at this. But just still take it slow. Good boy. Now, if he starts to pull, one, I look at it immediately like, are you just a little bit distracted or are you pulling? If he's just a little bit distracted, I can use his name, maybe some kissy noises, just like, hey, Cal, oh, good boy, and re-engage with him. But if he's actually pulling, he's pulling towards a distraction or away from a distraction, I will then correct him. So I will say no, and I will pop the leash. When I pop the leash, I'm not yanking him backwards. It's 2 quick pops up. So I'm going to hold the leash down here. If I was walking, it would be no, pop, pop. So they're not harsh. It's just about regaining his focus or his attention to then help him change his behavior. If he refocuses on me, I'll keep walking. I'll be, oh, good boy, good boy. But if then he went back to pulling or it didn't work, I would try it one more time. So it's no, pop, pop. Doesn't work. I get a little bit more firm. No, pop, pop. Right? It's helping him understand that he doesn't get to pull. If that doesn't work, it's insanity to keep trying to just say no and pop the leash. Like, if it doesn't work, we need to switch it up. So at that point, I will come to a complete stop, which my expectation is when I stop, he stops. So if he's pulling, I'll stop, give him some pressure on the leash, and I expect him to recognize we're no longer moving. And this is when I have a little pep talk with him, where it's like, Cal, you need to get your act together. If he can re-engage with me and we can keep walking, great, that's what we'll do. And if he's, just a little bit distracted, I'll work on our heel. So I might do some corrective U-turns, which is just if he gets out in front of me, I'm just going to stop and step away from him or turn away from him. So it's like this, boop, Just a quick turn. Oh, you're not paying attention. You're going to kind of get a little pressure, or I might just cut into him. So this way, all of these are helping him understand that he needs to pay attention to me if he doesn't want to get kind of pulled around or bumped into. So it's just helping him to focus and be able to heel a little bit better. But let's say we came to a complete stop and he's hit this reactive state. So we call it the red zone, where he is no longer able to focus on me. He's barking, he's just freaking out at a distraction. This could be fear-based reaction, so he's afraid and he's trying to pull away from the distraction. Or it could be excitement, where he's barking and he's wanting to pull towards something. Either way, if I cannot get his attention back with telling him no, popping the leash and coming to a stop, it's pointless to think that I'm going to be able to heel past it. So instead, I'm going to engage with him. So engagement, the moment that I see that he's barking, he's getting reactive, I'm going to tell him no, so I will still correct this behavior, but I'm going to step through him. So come here. I'm going to stand him up. So if he was bark, 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 I would say no, and I would step through him, spin him around, and now we're going to get some distance away from the distraction. So there's always an amount of distance that we can get to help Cal regain his focus. So whether that's 10 feet, whether that's 100 feet, I'm going to step through him, and now I put my back towards the distraction, and I will reward simple victories. Oh, you stopped barking? Good boy. You're looking at me? Good boy. You're sitting? Good dog. And I will just reward these simple behaviors. As he starts to come out of it, I can also use a watch me command. So watch me is just to get eye contact. Watch me. Okay. I get that flicker of eye contact, I reward it. So I'm rewarding simple victories, and he starts to come out of that reactive state. As he gets to where he's a little calmer, I will open up and we will watch the distraction go by. If he can't handle this, if he immediately gets reactive again, I'll back him up a little bit more. But if we can observe without interacting, that's what I want. Good boy. And as we watch it go by and he starts to come out of that, reactive state, we can then continue walking. I also like to set up times to practice this. We call it the art of doing nothing. So it's going somewhere where we can sit down and watch the world go by. So whether that's a park and we can watch people on bicycles or joggers or people with strollers, we're just going to watch them. I'm going to sit, I'm going to have him sit, and I'll reward him for being calm. Oh, you didn't bark at that person? Good boy. Oh, you didn't even flinch? Good dog. And I'm going to reward him for calm behavior. This also builds his confidence. So practice it, because Cal he's not like highly reactive, but he is a little bit more reactive than the average dog. So he likes to let you know that there's something going on. He is definitely more vocal in that way, and that's why we've been practicing hush, which is our vocal control command. He's great when it's just us, but as soon as you add a little chaos, especially in the distance, he starts seeing people run or dogs, he may bark, and I just want to quickly tell him hush, get between him and them, and reward him for being calm. So set up times to work on that. Now, like I said, the heel, that's for you. The short leash, that's the process there. If I'm going to exercise Cal, I want to use a long lead. So this way, he can be a dog. If he wants to get some space and run, I'm going to let him run. If he wants to stop and smell the flowers, I'm going to let him stop. So we're 100% going at his pace. Now, that doesn't mean that he gets to pull, because anytime that he puts tension in the leash, I'm going to call him back to me. But like I said, if he wants to go in front of me a little bit, great. If he wants to check something out, great. But he still can't pull. I like this type of long lead, and you get used to stepping over it or reeling it in. I don't like retractable leashes because they rely on pressure for the dog to get more space, and I don't want him thinking that he can pull to get more space. So we're walking along. He starts to pull. I'm going to call him to come. So this is a great way, this is a fun way to work on the come command. So he's getting to be a dog. It's very enriching for him. Yet I'm really working on my recall command. So I'm practicing him returning to me every time I call, and I have a way to follow through if he ignores me. So my recall command is I will say his name. There will be a brief pause, because if he's not paying attention, I may say his name a second time. but I'll say his name, brief pause, and then give the actual come command. So we'll see if I can, one, get any sort of distance from Cal. Come here. I might have him sit. We're going to set him up here. Here we go. Cal, come. Good boy. Okay. So the moment he starts to come to me, I say good boy. And the more distance we have, the more I'll repeat that because I'm telling him he's doing the right thing to keep coming. And then once he gets to me, I say okay and give him a treat. I'm not waiting for a sit. It's just the moment he gets to me, he gets the reward. So like I said, you're just on a walk. Periodically, I just call him to come to reward him and let him go again. So that way it's really, really fun. If he ignores me, I have the leash. I just simply say no and give him a little bit of pressure. It does not take very much pressure, and Cal will come running to you. So if Cal, come. Good boy, okay. And he has a fantastic recall. Which obviously it's easy to demonstrate in here. There's nothing going on. We're in an enclosed room. But like I said, all of this we can practice in these types of scenarios so that we get the successful repetition and we're just building more reliability. So let's say that I'll pretend that I called him to come, and if he ignored me, I would just say no and give him good boy. Slight pressure, okay. Doesn't take much, and the moment he caves in, I tell him good boy and reward him when he gets to me. So practice a lot on your long lead, and then as you get more comfortable with him, then you can start practicing off leash. So I would practice in a fenced-in area like a backyard, build some reliability, and continually add more variables to it. But if he's off leash and I call him to come and he ignores me, I have to go and get him. I no longer have this leash to reel him in. So if he ignored, immediately I'd tell him no and I'd start walking towards him. Wow, I am struggling today. So I'd start walking towards him. If he starts to come towards me, I'm going to stop walking and then I'll say, Cal, come. Good boy, good boy. And I'm going to walk backwards so that he follows. Okay, good dog. And reward him. If I had to get all the way to him, then I could hook a leash on, or I could take underneath the collar and I would just say, Cal, come. Good boy, good boy. Give him a little pressure towards me. Okay, and have him follow me backwards. So the recall command is your most important command. So that's why you can never let him get away with ignoring you. Even if he's outside playing and you're inside and you say, Cal, come, and he just wants to keep playing in the snow, you have to then put on your boots and go and get him. He does not get away with ignoring you. The one time where you say, I'll worry about you later, it's to a point now. I apologize, my wording is terrible. The one time you let him get away with it is the moment that the command gets burned out. And he goes, maybe I don't have to listen every time. And then he starts pushing more and more boundaries. So always follow through, always help him succeed. Yeah, you're too good, huh? But that is our training demonstration. Huh. Such a little grunter. So thank you very much for allowing us to train Cal. And as you go through this, I'm sure there's questions, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me, let me know, and I'm happy to help. But I look forward to you guys getting Cal this weekend. He's been fun. He's a character. He's got a lot of personality, which has made him just funny to be around. I love watching his little personality. He's just a silly guy. So like I said, if you do have any questions, please let me know. But I appreciate you letting us train Cal.